Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Michelle Yao Olsen. Today I'm going to talk about how I set up my March 2020 budget on Erin Condren Deluxe monthly planner. I chose this wildflower pattern because I saw it on the new design, and I actually bought this when it was on sale for 50% off. I mean, we're talking about budgeting, so that's one way you can save a little bit of money. So the reason why I'm starting the March budget the end of March right now is because I just got these on Thursday. I've already started with some of the information, how I want to plan the whole thing with every single month, the color code with the calendar overview, and my sinking funds on the second page, and my budget on the very first page. And then on this page, I'm going to use it as weekly check-ins. And right here on this last page for the month, I'll probably be using this for our variable income and expenses tracking. I had a hard time figuring out how I would use these pages because just the way it's set up. And if you look at the color code with the month, you can tell this very first page is actually belonging to March. So I decided to use this as the March budget to start with. And I really like it, especially with this month. This page was saying success starts with a plan. So let's start with that. I've been doing some catch up on my budget for February and January since I got my planner. So what I'm going to do, I would use green to write my income. And I know a lot of people use stickers, but I just really like how clean the planner can be, and I can do whatever I want. I don't have to spend tons of time figuring out how I'm going to design the whole planner with the stickers. So this is what I'm doing. It's just all handwritings and how I want it to be. So I'm writing our income type, our budgeted, estimated income, then the actual, and then the variance. So here I would leave 3 lines because we have both of our salary and the variable income. So I'll be writing total income. Then I would use this erasable pen that I like to write all the items. And then with expenses, I have our variable expenses, budget, our actual, and then our variance. And since I have the 7x9 budget planner, I'm splitting my variable expenses on this side and my fixed expenses on this side. Usually we have more variable expenses, so I start with that. We usually pay our tithing first. So we have 2 donations for each of us. And then we have our eating out category, which is the hardest to maintain. Electricity, gas for car, groceries, household expenses, medical. Then of course we have our sinking funds, which is the biggest category. And then I'm going to have unbudgeted category for any surprises for the month. And I think that's my variable expenses. I know this might take a long time, but I actually really enjoy doing this because it calms me down and it makes me feel like I'm doing something that can actually help with our family budget and finance. And I really want to maintain this so I can keep up with what's going on. And then with fixed expenses, we're paying iTunes for the iCloud usage. We have Apple Music, we have our car loan, for HOA, then insurance for cars, and then homeowner insurance, our internet, and our mortgage. So that's my total fixed. Then I would come back to here and do the total expenses. I guess I forgot to do $sign for income side. We're trying really hard to save, and what we're doing differently is we find it helpful to actually save, meaning putting aside money first after we pay our tithings to make sure we actually save money for that month. Even though sometimes we might go over budget, that's really helpful because when you put the savings first, put aside the savings first, you would have the rest of the money to actually go through all your fixed expenses and variable expenses to allocate what's left, instead of putting your expenses first and spend as much as you can and only having a little bit to save at the end of the month. We find that it's really easy to just lose the money that way. Since these are all fixed expenses, we know exactly how much it is. Not much total. We are using Dave Ramsey's Every Dollar Budget app. That's been really helpful to have the app with us when we're spending the money. We would put stuff in our Every Dollar every single time we would buy things, and it's really easy to track instead of having to write it down or keeping the receipt. So I'm just going to go through our app and write down what we've budgeted for these categories. I would leave that sinking fund for now because I need to actually add them up. And then our goal for March to save is actually $2,700. Then I'd have our total actual savings calculated after I put in all the actuals and all the variance to make sure that we're doing okay even after we save. And I mentioned that we would save first, so sometimes maybe we're a little bit aggressive on saving, but it actually helps us a lot meaning sometimes we might go over budget, but we have a pretty good system. We find out that we have different time to pay our credit cards, so it's really hard to actually figure out how much we have left every single month. So what we've been doing is we would put money in our checking account as a threshold. For example, $2,000. And then that equals zero. So if we ever go over a little bit on certain categories, we would have a little bit buffer. So when we are paying off the credit cards or whatever we have going on for that month that would make us go over the budget, then we would be okay, because with that cushion that we set aside in our checking account, we won't be having a negative balance, even if after the savings we would have something that was a little bit over. So that's what we've been doing. So sometimes I have the total actual savings as a negative number, but I'm not too worried because I know I've been saving a lot, and because we have our emergency cushion, we're okay if we go over a little bit. So that's my March budget set up, and I will be filling out these numbers maybe tomorrow as I reconcile all March stuff. And then I would go over here. So this is what I have for this page every single month. I would have the overview page where I would put like a glance overview. I would put total income, total expenses, and my balance, total savings. So then this overview would tell me right away if we are over or under. So I would use the red pen for over budget, and I would use the green for under budget. And then this is what's due in March, meaning all the sinking fund categories that's going to be due in March. On top of my head, I would write down my husband's birthday. So we have this category set up for his birthday. Tax return usually is due around this time, the payment, but this time might be a little bit different. With the quarantine, who knows? We will get a bill. And then on this page, as you can see, I'm going to track all my transactions during the month in these categories. Mostly the biggest part is I want to do the weekly check-ins on groceries, gas car, eating out, and sinking fund, so that I know how I'm doing compared to the budget every single week. So I'll be doing that to play a little bit catch up, and then come to March sinking fund. I'll be using Erin Condren colorful dual tip markers. We have a lot of categories under sinking fund. Some people might have 5, 4. Some people might have 10, but we have more than a page. We've really liked the sinking fund setup. It has been the biggest game changer for our budget. It's really nice to know that you have money saved aside for things that come up in different times, to be able to actually enjoy life more. So I have February sinking fund that I still need to catch up on, but you will find out how many categories we have if you keep watching. This is our Amex annual payment, gifts for anniversaries, birthday for me, birthday for my husband, car maintenance, car oil change, Christmas, clothes and shoes, a Costco membership. I know it's really detailed, but they all have different due dates, and it's really nice to be able to set them aside little by little every single month. This is our 2 cars. We have different registration date. So you can tell just from the sinking fund, we are spending a lot of money. I mean, wanting to spend a lot of money. We also have another gifts for other people, and we really want to play. There are entertainment, hobby, vacation later on, improvement. That category is our favorite, especially after we bought our townhome. We've been putting a lot of the money in that category. And also, if you can't tell, I'm doing this all in alphabetic order. That's really easy to remember. We have a travel category just for China because we would go back to China to see my families every single year for Chinese New Year. Okay, that's all for sinking fund. Only went over a little bit on the other page. I usually use a ruler for this, but actually I can see the line on the back of this page right here. That's actually really nice. So that's my sinking fund. And then right here on this part of the page, I would do the transaction log for the sinking fund. There's the date, merchant, amount, and categories. Okay, that's how I set up my March budget. And if you are still interested in the result and what I'm doing, just keep following my videos, and I'll see you next time.